Welcome into Football Guys Sunday Morning Live. I am Joey. Adam's here. Colton's here. Guys, how we doing today?
Good, man. Can't complain. Happy to be back. The stakes have never been higher. Week 14. This is why we play. So I'm excited to get after it.
Absolutely. Adam, let's not bury the lead. Let me move my microphone real quick, and then we're going to get right into it today, guys. I know we've got a ton of questions, but there, Joey's wearing the shirt. Florida State feels wrong. How do you feel, though, Adam, about it?
It's not about how I feel. It's what the people wanted, Joey. Our comments were being flooded with Joey doesn't live up to bets. Joey wears the Florida State shirt. So I'm glad you delivered for the people.
Yeah, it's here. It's on. It will be burned following the show. Guys, like I said, we're hopping right into it today. Big question right off the bat, Adam. Justin Herbert and Amari Hampton. Go.
I think they're both goes.
Okay.
Justin Herbert, it's his non-throwing hand. So I know a lot of people are like, what's the big deal? He did have surgery. You worry about some inflammation and swelling in that non-throwing hand. That's going to affect ball security. My biggest question mark was like, hey, is Justin Herbert going to be able to take snaps under center? Because obviously that tips your hand if you're an offense, if you're lining up in shotgun every single possession. We did get some confirmation that Justin Herbert was taking snaps under center, practicing that. He said he's going to play. So I think he's a go. Obviously, risk of re-injury is there. He just had surgery like Monday, I think. So it's quite, he's still listed as questionable, but as we head into Sunday here, they play on Monday night. I expect Justin Herbert to be active. And then the other one, obviously, Omarion Hampton, team activated him from IR. He is going to play in week 14. Always hate, drawing a 1-for-1 comparison, but this is a tricky injury that Omarion Hampton's coming back from. We did get confirmation that he was dealing with an ankle fracture, not too different than that of Isaiah Pacheco last year. And we saw how that affected Isaiah Pacheco's production and obviously his involvement in the running game. I still think Kamani Vidal is going to be involved, whether he's fantasy relevant or just annoying to Omarion Hampton. That's still yet to be told. It's tough. It's week 14. I mean, if you're in the playoff hunt and you have Hampton, I get it. But if you've made it this far without him, I'm skeptical about just immediately asserting him back into lineups here.
Yeah, I'm in a few spots where I absolutely have to. Not Clayton. Oh, God, I've talked to Clayton so much the last couple of days. Colton.
Close enough, man.
Give me the line for you with Omarion Hampton. Like, where is the ranking spot for you this week with him?
Yeah, I have him right around in our consensus rankings too. I kind of was comparing where I kind of feel comfortable with him and where we have him. We have him at RB 19. That's like right around where I am too, in that like 17 to 20 range. I think what Chicago did to Philly last week is going to stand out in a lot of people's minds as like, oh, you can run all over this Eagles defense. They don't have Jalen Carter. They don't have this. They don't have that. I think Ben Johnson's game plan for running the ball last weekend was executed to perfection. Like, you go back and you watch that tape, offensive line was on point. They weren't missing any assignments. It was almost flawless, right? And as an Eagles fan, that pains me to say. But I don't necessarily know if the Chargers are going to be able to replicate that success given the state of the offensive line and all of those things. So that would be my one hesitation and just caution to maybe people with Omarion Hampton and Kamani Vidal decisions is don't look at what the Bears did and make that like a 1-for-1. Okay, that means the Chargers are going to do the same thing, right? But like I said, 17 to 20 range is where I'm comfortable.
I'm going to throw names real quick at you, and then we'll move on to the next players. DeAndre Swift or Omarion Hampton?
I have Hampton higher.
Okay. Kareem Hunt?
Hampton still for me. Kareem Hunt
Jaylen
is
Warren?
like right. Jaylen Warren. That one's close. Okay. I think I have Omarion Hampton a slot or two higher than Warren.
That's what I was just looking for the line. Got it. Yeah. All right, cool. Also questionable today, Dalton Kincaid. And it does feel like a true questionable. Adam, they say they're going to let him kind of work out pregame. Luckily, he is at 1:00, so you can make adjustments need be. What's up with Kincaid? Any news?
I mean, it was a hamstring injury. Kincaid is actually one of the players that's notorious for missing more time than expected. So I was a little bit hesitant about his availability this week. And then obviously when he picked up the knee injury, it sounds like it's kind of lingering issues from earlier in this preseason. Wasn't feeling great about it. He's obviously going to give it a go. I think they're playing in Cincinnati. Is that correct? The weather wherever they're playing, Buffalo or Cincinnati, they're home. Looked like it was snowy, not great conditions.
It snows in Buffalo.
Yeah, it does. It does.
I'm extra sassy in this shirt. I'm not happy. Like it's kind of snark is coming out today.
I probably deserve it too. I think Kincaid probably gives it a go. Tight end landscape obviously has not been fun. It hasn't really been fun for years, but tight end 10 to tight end 12 is probably where I would slate him in if he plays.
Awesome. And then Dylan Sampson and Jaden Reed's return from the IR. So it looks like he'll get some play out there for the Packers today. Heading back to who is going to be out today. Drake London, Alvin Kamara, Mike Evans will not be returning. Parker Washington was ruled out last night. Doubling back to Evans real quick. Do we expect him back for maybe the playoff run for fantasy, or is it a playoff run for the Bucks more likely?
I think it's a playoff run for fantasy. I mean, I think he was close. I thought he potentially could come back this week. So the fact that he didn't, I'm going to have him slated for a week 15 return.
Excellent. Roma Dunze, and this might be doing fantasy managers a favor, letting him sit out to kind of get that foot healthy. So that's good to see. I mean, not good to see him not on the field, but good to see him getting some rest. Colton, Luther Burden or DJ Moore, are there some pass catchers there in Chicago you feel good about today?
Yeah, I actually bumped Luther Burden up quite a bit. I have him over DJ Moore now. DJ Moore is my wide receiver 39. Luther Burden is my wide receiver 34. I just like what we've seen over the last 3 or 4 weeks from Luther Burden in terms of the role expanding a little bit. Even with Roma Dunze on the field, targets have expanded too. He went from 3 targets in week 10 to 5 in week 11 and 12, and then 6 against Philly in week 13. So the role is expanding. It's going to be a low air yardage, get him the ball, try to create yards after catch. That's just the type of player that he is. But with more opportunities to do that, I think he could actually play a pretty valuable role relative to the other pass catchers in Chicago with Roma Dunze out.
Awesome, man. Marvin Harrison Jr. out today. And then Kyler Murray, if I believe I read yesterday, he will not be back rest of the season. So it's the Jacoby Brissett show, rest of the season there in Arizona. Expected to play today. Chris Olave. I rarely do this. I put Sean McVay on the expected to play. He's expected to coach today. He's got an illness. He did travel separate. But I think it's always good when your head coach shows up for a game. I was an Atlanta Braves fan, and Bobby Cox tend to get thrown out of a lot of games. And when he wasn't there, they would lose more games than they would win of those. So different sport, but, I think we saw where I was going with that.
I get it, man. He's one of the elite play callers in the game. You need so. McVay on the sideline. Yeah.
T. Higgins, out of the concussion protocol, will be on the field for, I think it's probably game of the week. I probably just cursed it, but that Bengals-Bills game with Joe Burrow back under center, let's go. Jaden Daniels is going to be starting today. Happy to see that as well. Let's see. And then not expected to play today, Trey Benson. Doesn't look like he's going to be out there today, and that would be the end of his season. They would have to shut him down the way that those windows work. Is that correct, Adam? Boy, perfect timing for you to pop back in.
There it is. Look at him show up right when he was getting asked a question. That was elite.
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry. I lost audio.
Trey Benson, if he doesn't play today, he is shut down rest of the season, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Well, that is all of the injury slides and everything we need to go over there. Guys, make sure you're subscribed here to Football Guys Live. Follow us on Twitter or X. Give Adam a follow and Colton a follow. If you follow me, unfollow me, and then refollow me just so I see that you're here. Don't do that. But no, we're excited to have you guys here. We really want to get into these questions and get through as much as possible today. Mandatory username 72. Love that. Afternoon all. 9-5 could get a bye. Could not make the playoffs. 24-team league, and I've got both Giants QBs. Who gets more points this week? So who do we like more? I don't know if any of those players are going to take a snap this week. I would guess Trey Lance because he has the best chance of playing.
Yep.
Morning from Dane. Had to get in early because I've got a lot of decisions. So Herbert or Tyrod Taylor, Colton, where are you going there?
I actually have Tyrod ranked a little higher. I think based on the downfield sort of evolution that we've seen for the Jets passing offense without Justin Fields under center. And just the volume that we might see in this game too with Miami. It's a 2.5-point spread. It's projected to be pretty close. I think Tyrod could be throwing a ton in this game. And then you just never know with Herbert. And even beyond that, this offense can get stuck in the mud sometimes. And Philly's kind of a tough matchup. We saw what Caleb Williams did against them in terms of, fantasy production. So wasn't great. That's why I like Tyrod Taylor. And then Vidal, Tootin, or Charbonnet. I believe I have Charbonnet ranked highest. Yeah, I have Zach Charbonnet ranked highest out of those three. So give me Charbonnet. Burden, Jaden Reed, Sharp, or Loveland. I like Burden, but I have to pick two. So let's go Burden and Charbonnet.
Beautiful.
I did want to say too, like we do expect Justin Herbert to play. The Chargers have said as much, but like if you're waiting for that Monday game, I would make sure Trey Lance is somewhere on your bench. Drop, a depth piece or an extra defensive you're carrying to or something just to have Trey Lance in case we get to Monday and something freaky happens and Herbert is not active.
Because the language that Harbaugh's using is not definitive by any means. It's very. I said earlier this week to when Bob Harris works at Football Guys, I'm getting kind of flashbacks to CMC of week 1 of last year, of where we heard he was going to play, but it was never completely definite. So make sure, like Adam said, have him backed up. Dede or Terry McLaurin? I don't know, who's Dede? La Dede? What am I missing here?
Could that be a Debo nickname? I'm not sure.
Yeah, so if it's between Debo and Terry McLaurin, I'm going Terry McLaurin. Anytime Terry McLaurin's been on the field and started this season, he's been fantastic. Jim, he's on the island again, guys. Good morning. 1 half-point PPR for his RB2. He's got some choice between Monungai, Jalen Warren, and Blake Corum. Is that a pretty easy Jalen Warren for us, guys?
I think so.
All right. And then for the flex, Emeka Ibuka, such a beautiful, beautiful man. Brian Thomas Jr., Brenton Strange, or one of those other 2 RBs. Adam, pick one for the flex.
I think I would have to go with Emeka Ibuka. I know it's been disappointing. We'll talk about some of the behind the scene metrics with Emeka Ibuka a little bit later, but I still think he's the safest option there.
I think that was a tease, everybody. Jay Blaker, good morning. Happy Sunday. Jaden Daniels or Lamar Jackson, Colton. Are we trusting Jaden returning over Lamar Jackson at this point?
I have Jaden Daniels as QB7 and Lamar Jackson as QB8. So based on that, go Jaden Daniels ahead of Lamar Jackson. But at some point, man, this Ravens offense has got to get back on track. Captain Obvious, right? But I went back a few weeks ago and just looked at the evaporation of designed rushing attempts for Lamar Jackson. And obviously the injury probably has something to do with that, right? And trying to be cautious with that and ease him back in. But you can tell that has altered this Ravens offense pretty significantly. So you hope he gets back on track, and you hope the offensive staff can kind of unleash what we've seen from him. But I do have, just because of the matchup this week at Minnesota, I do have Jaden Daniels 1 slot higher.
Perfect. Yeah, I was on a late round perspectives this week, and JJ Zacharyas and I were talking about how if there's going to be a get right time for Lamar, it's right now, these next few games. So humble brag there. I got to do that show this week. That's pretty cool. Full PPR, pick one at running back, Chase Brown or Quinshon Judkins. Ooh, that's tough. Adam, pick a running back.
Yeah, the PPR aspect makes me want to say Chase Brown. I mean, they're both got good matchups. Cleveland's hosting Tennessee. Cincinnati's at Buffalo. I think I am still going to go Quinshon Judkins, Tennessee. I think that's a game where Cleveland could have the ball a lot, and they like to rely on the run. So I'm going to say Judkins, even in PPR.
All right, JL Smooth. I feel like this is more of a strategy question than an actual fantasy question because I feel like we're pretty confidently Daniel Jones over CJ Stroud this week. That Kansas City defense has been good, but their opponent has Alec Pierce and Tyler Warren. Colton, would that make you move off of Daniel Jones, or do you want the most points possible? What's your
I'm
philosophy?
going most points possible anytime, this question pops up. I also feel like when I'm looking at that, and I'm just kind of like thinking through this in real time, if I have Daniel Jones, I mean, obviously they kind of cancel each other out if, Alec Pierce and Tyler Warren are catching the 6-point passing touchdowns from Daniel Jones. But
Yeah.
I still want the production either way. I think CJ Stroud has a pretty brutal matchup this week. So give me Daniel Jones, and it's unfortunate that, Pierce and Warren are going to reap the benefits, but you need the points. So
all right. Bruce has got a question. Hello, my friends. Hello, Bruce. Need some winner to make the playoffs. Pick 2 between Ladd, Alec Pierce, Khalil Shakir, and Vele. We haven't talked about Vele yet today. Adam, pick 2.
I think how they ranked them is how I would play them. Alec Pierce has been good. Ladd McConkey obviously been up and down, and we talked about still being unsure about Justin Herbert, but it's week 14. I don't want to get cute. I'm not going to bench Ladd McConkey for Shakir or Vele at this point.
Sounds good. And then between the tight ends, I'd go Strange. And we got no Parker Washington today. I feel pretty confident there. Vele, I had a tough decision this morning. A little easier once Ramadunze got ruled out, but between Luther Burden or Vele, I just love the matchup for him today against Tampa Bay. He's had I think it's 15 targets over the last 2 weeks. He's coming on there in New Orleans. Good morning, all, and happy holidays. 1 point per reception in the flex. Tyler Warner, Kenneth Walker. Colton, pick one.
1 point PPR. Man, that's tough. I at first I wanted to say Tyler Warren for sure. I think he's going to be a top 3 option this week at tight end against Jacksonville. Kind of weird weather conditions though, Joey. I know that you mentioned like the skies were
It was
black
crazy yesterday
where you were.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that this could turn into a slop fest, which is a little concerning. But I do still think this is close. I'm going to go Kenneth Walker. I like the running back upside in your flex with the 1 point per reception too. So give me Kenneth Walker.
Perfect. Adam, do you have something? You had that look like where you had one. Oh, okay.
No, I'm gonna I'm checking for Dalton Kincaid news. So like obviously if we get something, because I know he's going to be one that's going to come down to the wire. So I'm just going to be actively checking.
Cool.
Now, real quick, if there's a tight end. Sorry, I was just going to say, if there's a tight end premium in this league, it's Tyler Warren. I didn't see them specify that or not. But just straight 1 point across the board, it's Kenneth Walker.
Perfect. All right, Epidemic 619. Hola, mi amigos. And let's finish strong in week 14. Couldn't agree more. Need 2 in PPR between Adonai Mitchell, Alec Pierce, Brian Thomas Jr., or Chris Godwin. Here's to a successful run in the playoffs. I completely agree. Adam, pick 2, man. This is tough group to pick from.
Yeah, because we've got a couple players that, have been hot right now. Like, if we got this question even 3 weeks ago, I don't even think we're considering AD Mitchell. I might go a little bit mixture of upside and stability and just say, I'm going to go Alec Pierce and I'm going to go Chris Godwin.
Okay. I don't disagree with you. I think that's what I'd be doing too. Dave Dennis, it's close. Romeo Dobbs or Woody Marks. Colton, how close is it?
Yeah, I think Woody Marks is a pretty brutal matchup this week. And some of the efficiency stuff that we've seen from Woody Marks with this expanded role, he is getting a ton of run, but it's reminding me a little bit of Tony Pollard, man. And we kind of know what that has looked like early in the season. A ton of volume, but hyper inefficient. And it just hasn't led to a whole lot of fantasy production. And then you get the Chiefs. I think that's a pretty brutal matchup. Romeo Dobbs is interesting. He's my wide receiver 26. He's just like, he's as ho-hum as it gets. I know Christian Watson's role has expanded. Jaden Reed will be back in the mix, but Romeo Dobbs doesn't necessarily come off the field in 2 wide receiver sets. And I think that's really valuable. So give me Romeo Dobbs this week.
Yeah, I was banging the drum really hard for Christian Watson this week specifically. And that Jaden Reed news, I was like, I'm glad you're back, but man, couldn't have been next week because
Yeah.
it's gonna cut into whatever upside I saw. Frank in the chat, good morning, guys. Would you start Sutton, Walker, or this is crazy? This is week 14. Justin Jefferson in PPR. Colton, I'm gonna go right back to you.
All right. Thanks for that, Joey. No, but let's see. Justin Jefferson, man, that's another one where I think such an underrated part of like these passing attacks, Minnesota or anybody. Minnesota is the first group that comes to mind, and obviously we're talking Jefferson, but like I think pressure and pass rush is such a big variable here. And Minnesota's offensive line has not given any of these guys time. And maybe this is a bit of a departure on Justin Jefferson, but it does scare me a little bit. I still think that there is some upside here. Out of this group, I think you have to still go with Justin Jefferson. He's still my wide receiver 10 this week. So give me Jefferson out of that group.
Yeah, the Vikings have the best rest of the season schedule. Now, sadly, they've just not been able to put it together pass catching wise. But I'll tell you what, if JJ McCarthy figures it out in the next 3 hours, Minnesota's in for a really fun run for fantasy for the playoffs. If somebody dropped Jordan Addison in your league and you've just got an empty spot, just go pick him up on speculation. Because I saw Jordan Addison dropped a lot of places this last week in redraft leagues. I'm not saying start him. Do not start him, but keep an eye. All right. Great show, guys, for March, not March Madness. 1 point per reception. Needs one running back between ETN, Swift, and Hampton. Adam, pick a running back.
I've been really impressed with DeAndre Swift and the Bears' ability to run the ball. I do think similar to ETN, Tootin's involved and Kyle Monunga has been involved in that Bears running game, but the Bears just seem more committed to consistently running the ball and running the rock. So I'm going to pick DeAndre Swift there.
Okay. And then wide receiver, you're going to go Jacoby Myers there in Jacksonville. And then Colton, I'll let you do the defense. Seattle, Miami, Washington, or Philly.
Yeah, Seattle's defense has just been incredible so far this year. And then you get the matchup with Atlanta and Kirk Cousins. I think you got to go Seattle out of that group.
All right. John's got a QB question. He's got to sit one between Daniels, Brissett, and Nix. Adam, who you sitting?
I think I'm going to sit Jacoby Brissett. He's got a tough matchup with the Rams. We definitely have some question marks. Jaden Daniels coming back. But if Washington's comfortable playing him, I think we need to be comfortable playing him. So I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix.
All right. Thanks for all your help this season. Thanks for being here this season. Without you, we're not allowed to give help. So there you go. Gadsden or Tootin? Colton, pick one in the flex.
Yeah. Gadsden has been awesome. I'm a huge Gadsden fan. He just makes me really nervous this week. If you're in a tight end spot where like, okay, I need a tight end, you probably at this point, Gadsden's probably your best option. But because you're in the flex, and because this game, like I said, we're gonna get to it in a minute. I like Jacoby Myers a lot this week, but if this game devolves into like we need to run the ball a ton, it's muddy out here. It's sloppy. I think Tootin could have a nice week. I think he'll be involved either way. So give me Tootin over Gadsden in PPR.
Okay. Invite Queens in here with us as always. Thank you so much. I'll answer this one for you. I'm taking Ibuka at wide receiver for the ceiling, and then I'm going to take Kenneth Walker for the floor. I get a nice little balance there. And just avoid Michael Wilson. I hate that matchup for him today. I love the talent, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is not there. He'll still probably get receptions, but the Rams find ways to win and shut people down. So, yeah, I'll avoid that. And then if I have to pick one Bucks wide receiver, it's going to be Ibuka over Godwin. Flex 2 out of Adonai Mitchell, Blake Corum, Keaton Mitchell, and Yoshi Voss. Adam, flex 2.
Yeah, I think in that scenario, I am playing Adonai Mitchell. And then I'm just going to hope that we have a shootout and I get two excellent quarterback play between Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. So I'll take Yoshi Voss there.
Stranger things in this world have been said than what you just said there about Burrow and Allen having a shootout. I think it could absolutely happen. Should we be worried about rain in Jacksonville if playing ETN? I don't think we should be worried about playing ETN if there's rain. Myers, I guess there'd be a little more concern there, but I'm still starting him.
Plus,
Chase
it
Brown.
rains.
Oh, go ahead.
It rains in Florida. Are they home? Are they home?
I do believe it is in Jacksonville. Yeah.
Yeah, it rains and then it goes away. It comes and goes. So, I mean, it might not be an all game thing. So, I wouldn't worry about it. You know this. You live in Florida.
100%.
I didn't mean to dox you there. My bad.
I think I've pretty much. I mean, yeah. I'm not in this part, thank God. I'm in the parts that down where like the people with like rational. Actually, not. It's not even true. Yeah.
Don't further dox yourself. I mean, we've already narrowed it down to a state. Don't let the people know the exact coordinates.
I live approximately 37 minutes from where the Jacksonville Jaguars will be playing their 2027 NFL season while their stadium is getting renovated there.
Too much info.
All right. Flex 2, Troy Franklin, Bam Knight, Keenan Allen, John Mechie, and Keaton Mitchell. And Vidal's thrown in there too. Colton, flex 2 of them and tell me why one of them is Bam Knight. It might not be.
Bam Knight, man. Last week, I said that Bam Knight was going to be a touchdown dependent option, and he scared me a little bit. And then he scored a touchdown on a nice little scramble drill from Jacoby Brissett. Found him. So I think now too with the Trey Benson news, it appears like Michael Carter and Bam Knight are going to share this backfield, but I think that's still valuable for Bam Knight. He seems to be kind of the 1A out of that split. It's a brutal matchup. The Rams front seven is one of the best collective groups in the league right now. And but out of this group, I do still think you need to roll with Bam Knight. And then let's see, Troy Franklin dud last week. That was brutal. I liked him a lot last week. Pat Bryant ended up taking a lot of those snaps. It was a game plan predicated on short passing. And Pat Bryant has been a little better in that part of the field than Troy Franklin has been. And I mean, we just fell victim to Sean Payton game planning. So Troy Franklin has shown a lot. I don't want one game to throw us off of Troy Franklin too significantly. So I'm going to go Troy Franklin and Bam Knight. I think you had the top two for me right Perfect. At the front. So there you go.
Awesome. Now we were talking about the rain in Jacksonville, and I said that I'd be fine with ETN and I would still start Jacoby Myers. But you feel a little bit better about Myers, Colton. Talk to us about why he's your start of the week.
Yeah, I I picked this on Wednesday, right? And I didn't have the forecast on Wednesday, but I'm rolling with it. I still think his role has been exactly what Jacksonville has needed to not only unlock this passing game, but get a little more production out of Trevor Lawrence too. And I think they're really going to steer into that. They're still going to need to throw the ball. Adam mentioned it, man. Rain in Florida can be sporadic. It comes and goes. He's been targeted 6 times in each of his last 3 games. Last week he was top 12 wide receiver 11 in half PPR scoring. He's averaging 2.8 yards per route run in his 3 games with the team. So 6 targets per game and an efficient production on those targets, right? So 4 red zone targets over that span too. He continues to produce after the catch, which I think is the big element here. It doesn't necessarily need to come through big plays or things like that. He works over the middle of the field. They get him the ball in space and then he goes. And that's kind of what we've seen. And that's what has worked so well with this fit. And then Indianapolis, it's an advantageous matchup. They give up the 6th most yardage after the catch in the league. 215 of that is over expected. That's also the 6th most. Again, rain is a variable here. I'm looking at a live shot from the stadium. It does look pretty gloomy. But I do like Jacoby Myers. They're still going to throw the ball. And when they do, Jacoby Myers is going to be heavily involved. So give me Myers this week.
Do you have a live feed into the stadium in Jacksonville, Colton?
Yeah, I have live feeds into every stadium on my wall. I have like 9 screens right here.
That's why you're the best, man.
No, honestly though, like literally as I'm talking, they pull up. I have NFL Network pulled up, and it just cuts to a live shot. So the timing couldn't have been better.
All right, Colton, thank you so much for being here. Anything for the people today you want to leave them with?
Man, go win your weeks. I'm in some tough spots in some leagues. I have a league I'm in real quick with Joey, where Joey beat me by 0.3 earlier in the season. And now I'm in a 4-way tie at 8-5 with the 3rd most points in the league. and I truly might miss the playoffs this week. Joey,
That's not
you
funny.
also lost last week by a single point that would have clinched the playoffs for both of us. So you've been my nemesis in this league this year, man. But we could both get in this week, and I hope we
That's
do.
good. I think is it the FESO one, the football guys one?
No, it's called analysts, I think.
Oh, getting the analysts not spelled the correct way. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
That league.
Yeah, well, listen, I hope you make the playoffs, you make the championship, and you lose to me.
Yeah,
Seems like the best
that's where we're
possible
trending.
scenario.
That's where we're trending for sure.
All right, buddy, we love you. Thanks for being here, and we'll hopefully see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Absolutely,
that-
we'll see you.
See you,
And that brings in. Go ahead, Jeff. Adam.
I was just saying bye.
Oh, okay, that was sweet of you.
Bye, Adam.
That brings in our good buddy. Wait, Colton, go away, man. Wait, there. Jeff, you're here finally. What is up, my bud? What's up, my friend? How are you doing?
Sunday morning, Joey. We are here, week 14, the penultimate or the week of the fantasy regular season. We have to use every opportunity we can to stay penultimate. So I just throw that in there.
On a personal, real quick, I just want to say I'm very excited that you showed up after last week where I did an impression of you. I did hear the impression reached you, and you're still my friend, so I appreciate that. But Jeff, I want you to talk to me about Joe Burrow. Talk to me about a different Joe.
Yeah, Joe Burrow. It's been a disappointing start to this year for Joe Burrow. Obviously, we know the injury, but even beyond the injury, he had that down week 1 against the Browns, hurt the second week, so he cost you 2 weeks there at the beginning. Last week, he looked better. The Bengals looked much, much better. He threw a couple of touchdown passes. Overall volume wasn't super high. They didn't really have to against Baltimore. He's coming in now into a matchup against the Buffalo Bills defense that they've actually been very good against the quarterback. And I have seen some conversation saying about whether or not you should rank Joe Burrow as a top 10 option this week going up against the Bills because they have been strong against the quarterback. And Joe Burrow has absolutely owned the Bills when they've played. They played twice. Well, they played 2.5 times basically, but the one time doesn't necessarily, I don't know. Neither here nor there. He has 4 touchdowns and no interceptions against the Bills, completing about 68% of his passes against the Bills, right around 265 yards per game. One of those was a playoff win. Another was a win 2 years ago. It was my second ever Bills game to completion. So it was a great chance to see Burrow. But I think that in this matchup, despite the Bills being pretty good on paper against the quarterbacks, I expect that Joe Burrow is going to have his best game of the year. You want him in all of your lineups. He is going to go out, and this is going to be a tough spot, I think, for Buffalo.
Completely agree with you. And I want you to not feel bad because I kind of see it in you that you're like, oh, that one time, because I made the mistake in the first half hour where I was like, every time these guys have gone against each other, it's been a shootout. And then I was like, except for that one time when it wasn't.
Except for when a guy died. But
yeah,
he is back.
So, but you know what? He's back, and he's so that's a great story. And we're gonna move right off of that. So, Adam, talk to us about Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah, I mean it's been disappointing. Obviously, the last couple of weeks for Emeka Egbuka. Really, since he came back from injury, he's kind of been a shell of himself. But I do like the matchup this week for Tampa Bay. You know, New Orleans, if you just look at kind of the advanced stats, New Orleans actually pretty good against the pass, but I think that might be just because a lot of teams don't have to throw the ball against them, and they've been able to run most of the second half with the lead. This might be just, a division game. It's in Tampa Bay. It's a get-right game for Baker Mayfield. Looking at expected points for Emeka Egbuka, he's expected about 13 points per game. He's been averaging about 14 points per game. Obviously, the last 3 weeks, he has not cracked double digits. I think this is a get-right game for Baker Mayfield. I think this is a get-right game for Emeka Egbuka. So I like plugging him into my flex spot, especially in PPR leagues.
Love it. Before we get back on the road to answering start and sit questions, I want to take a trip down Narrative Street. Jeff, are you ready to tell me things that make me smile?
Not really, Joey.
Yes.
I mean, I could never live up to the impression that you did of me last week. The bar has been absolutely raised on what I could actually deliver to you in this space. But I can talk about It's a really good week to follow your what you did last week because there's nothing good.
Okay,
this
there's
week
nothing out there.
in
All
revenge
right.
games. There's Justin Watson is playing against the Chiefs. It's
Oh,
Teddy
yeah.
Bridgewater against the Saints. Stidham against the against the Raiders. Albert O. I don't even know if Albert O is still on the Raiders, but they're playing Denver. Zach Wilson against the Jets. I mean, Eric Saubert against Atlanta is pretty much what we have for revenge this week. It's really just not a lot.
We're focused on the matchups this week.
Well, it's an amazing week for playoff leverage. It's an absolutely
Yeah.
insane week for playoff leverage. I heard you guys talking about that AFC South matchup with the Colts and the Jags, where the winner of that could be slated for the 3 seed. The loser could be outside of the playoff picture. I mean, the Chiefs, if they lose this game to the Texans, they're going to lose just about every tiebreaker possible in the AFC, and they drop to about 11% odds of making the playoffs. It's an insane week for leverage across the NFL, but in terms of narratives, it's a little bit light.
I got a narrative for you real quick. Dalton Kincaid, active.
Ooh,
will play.
Jeff, are you excited or no?
No, I don't think he's going to be anywhere near a full-time role. This is a matchup that you're targeting. It's almost a little bit more frustrating on it'd be if he were out and you had Dawson Knox full go without somebody else there. I think it'd be a great spot for Knox because the book is out on how to attack these Bengals via running backs and tight ends. I think Kincaid to play a little bit. Probably my expectation would be about 3 or 4 catches for about 30 yards or so, probably at most. I just don't see a big game here for Kincaid.
Do you like an anytime touchdown? Throw a couple bucks at Dawson Knox then still?
I do, yes. And DFS lineup, I've got Knox in the DFS lineup, but that's the Millie Maker that I've got Josh Allen as my quarterback and Knox at 2,800. We talked about that on the DFS show. If anything, I think it opens up the door for utilizing that because it gives you some cost savings, and then it's going to be under-owned now that Kincaid is going to be active.
Look at that. We're giving DFS advice. Love it, Jeff. All right, we got there. Trone Force, which 3 wide receivers would you play this week between Nico, Olave, Devonta Smith, McLaurin, and Debo? Jeff, I'm going to throw it to you first.
Which 3 wide receivers? I'm playing Nico for sure. We've seen Nico be the player that we expected over the last month or so. I really want to have McLaurin in my. I'm concerned about the matchup a little bit with McLaurin, but we in the pitch count talk, but he had 14 targets last week with Jaden Daniels returning. I think it's hard not to put McLaurin in there. And then the third one, based upon my rankings, I have Devonta Smith as the third choice here based upon rankings. Been a little bit up and down the last couple of weeks, a little bit leaning towards AJ Brown. But I think that Olave, given that injury, I know Joey, the Bucks, the way they attack them is through the air. But I think with the concerns about the injury, a little bit with Olave.
I think, does that make you like Vele a little bit more than you normally would this week then? I know he's not.
You like Vele? Yes, Vele has played nearly every snap since Rashid Shaheed got traded. We've seen 15 targets the last 2 weeks. Giving away all my lineup secrets, he's another cost savings lineup option in your DFS choices.
Man, I'm going to just stop saying player names. I keep giving away all your secrets, Jeff. All right, Gainwell, DJ Moore, or Rodriguez and half, or I'm guessing that's half PPR. Adam, pick one.
Yeah, I know it's not a popular name, but I think it's got to be DJ Moore with these choices. You know, we talked about it earlier. Rome Odunze out, might miss a couple of weeks with that stress fracture in his foot. We got a division matchup in Chicago, in Green Bay for the Chicago Bears. So I'm going to play DJ Moore.
All right, Andrea needs 2 between Vele, Addison, Pittman, Mechie, and Jaden Higgins. Jeff, is Vele coming in part of this, or are you going somewhere else here?
These rankings right here: Vele, Mechie, Pittman, Higgins. Pittman for sure. That's one.
Yeah, that's the one.
I mean, obviously the rain, but Pittman for sure. And then I think on the other one, probably if you wanted to swing for, I'm playing out of those ones. I have Vele ranked just above Addison and just above Mechie. So this is a really good conversation tier here. But
that's where I saw her question come in, and I felt best, of course, like you said about Pittman, but it was between Vele and Mechie of where my head was at on that one. So All right, good.
And they are
like
bunched together. They are super in Higgins. It's like five places apart, those 4 wide receivers in my rankings right now. So it's
good
a really
question,
good question,
Andrea. As always, but real good one this morning. Jeremy, need 2 in flex, PPR, Hampton and Vidal stack, or do we go Pat Bryant, Darnell Mooney, or I love you just putting his name on here, P. Ryan. I love Samaje P. Ryan so much. One of my favorite players in the league. But we need 2. Adam, pick 2.
I think we're going to play Hampton. I know I kind of talked him down a little bit. Just looking at our staff rankings, like Darnell Mooney and Kamani Vidal are right there. If you wanted to just embrace a little bit what Colton was talking about the way to beat Philly is to run the ball and control tempo, I'd actually be okay just playing Vidal and no Marion Hampton and say I'm hoping I get a combined really good score from those guys. Because these other guys might give you zeros.
Yeah. Here, I want to just throw something out. Let's say Hampton just for some reason doesn't play. Like we expect him to play. If I'm playing it safe, it's going to just walk into Monday having one of the 2 and then starting one of the wide receivers. But I don't know. Yeah. Do I play Herbert or do I play Shuck? Jeff.
In my ranks, I have Tyler Shuck rated just ahead of Justin Herbert.
Let's go. All right. You don't even need to sweat it out on Monday, Andrea. All right, MJ. Happy Sunday.
And I think that opens up the question of if you can have Trey Lance as an option and you would rather go Herbert, you need to have Trey Lance. If Trey Lance is not available, then that forces your hand a little bit. And I think that just looking at both of those injury situations with the Chargers, it all comes down to what are your available options versus what is your pivot that you know you can go to. And if you can give yourself an option, if you've got something that you feel comfortable, maybe it's a flex and you're deciding between a Marion Hampton and you still have Keenan Allen or something like that. That's one choice. If you don't have Vidal, if you don't have any of the options, because there's not really, we're seeing a lot of consolidation in these attacks, these offensive attacks with the Eagles. We know who's getting the ball there. We know who's getting the ball with the Chargers. There's not really a great pivot to go to. Should you have to pivot because Vidal has been so good for fantasy, he's probably rostered everywhere. It's all about what can you do now and then what can you leave open for tomorrow.
All right. And MJ, they're playing tight end roulette. Kyle Pitts versus Seahawks, Loveland versus the Packers, Darren Waller versus the Jets. Adam, I'm going to give the question for you to this week, and then I'll answer the rest of the season. Where are we going this week for you?
I think this week I'm going with Darren Waller.
Okay. All right. And so rest of the season, I absolutely love Darren Waller's schedule. If you see him put it on the field this week against the Jets, feel pretty confident that lineup for Miami in the playoffs or Darren Waller looks really good. I like rostering him a lot. All right, good day. Need to start 3 for a PPR league. Pierce, Franklin, Keenan Allen, Adonai Mitchell, or Xavier Worthy. It's the first time Worthy's names come up today. Jeff, pick. So sit 1, I guess.
Sit 1.
Actually,
sit
just
2.
Pick 3 because it's sit 2. Yeah.
I'm going to sit Troy Franklin. I know everything's been good leading up to this, but I do buy that Pat Bryant's emergence and utilizing Evan Ingram kind of where that he was used last week. The other one that I would sit, I think Xavier Worthy is the other one that I would sit, and largely because that Texans defense is very, very good, and we haven't seen Worthy do it with Rashee Rice in the lineup.
Perfect. And then Andrea needs one between Godwin, Charbonnet, and Kenneth Gainwell. I'd go Godwin. Coastal Elite, pets named after humans is the best. Am I right, Joey? Yes, you are correct. Thanks for listening. Great show with JJ. I appreciate it. Adonai Mitchell, Addison, or Jaden Higgins. Adam, pick one. Half PPR.
I just really do not trust JJ McCarthy supporting multiple pass catchers right now. So I think I'm going to go Adonai Mitchell.
I agree with you.
You guys noted that Parker Washington is out, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Was he on the graphic? Yeah, he was. Okay. Joe Bryant saying, let's go. And as I say, every time you say this to me, Joe, where are we going? Because I'm right there with you. Right. I had a really nice road trip with Joe one time, and we got gas station peanut butter crackers. It was fun. Happy playoff clinching day. That's Is that on the calendar? Does it say playoff clinching day on anyone else's calendar? Just mine? Okay. PPR need 2 of the following: Genty, Judkins, Hampton. I'm hanging on the bubble due to my ineptitude the past few weeks. Thanks for being honest about yourself. It's always good to be reflective. You know, Michael Jackson wrote Man in the Mirror for a reason, folks. Thanks for all you do. Thank you for being here. Jeff, pick 2.
2 of the following: Genty, Judkins. Give me Genty and Judkins, and don't even worry about the Chargers. What's going on there?
Love it. Yep. People are saying good morning to Joe. Yep. That'd be a good name for the show. Good morning, Joe. Fight Queen, please flex 1 out of Aaron Jones, Adonai Mitchell, Quentin Johnston, and Gadsden. Adam, flex 1.
I really don't like this question. If it's standard, I think I would go with Aaron Jones. Oh man. The reason I'm hesitating on it is I do have questions about like Aaron Jones' health. He's been banged up. This is the second time now he's kind of popped up with the shoulder injury, and both times he's exited early and not finished. So I think he is a risky play. If you were going to play it a little bit safer, I guess I would go with. Man, I'm really struggling. I guess I would go. I'm just going to play Aaron Jones and embrace the volatility. I'm mad that Joey gave me this question. I wish he would have given this to Jeff.
All right. I'm going to answer this very specifically, Mark. Need 2 rest of the season between Prescott, Burrows, and Daniels. Based on matchup, you're going to play Daniels next week and championship week and Burrow in the middle. That schedule's incredible. Could not be better. If I only had to have one, though, I might just take Dak Prescott's whole schedule over both of them. But if you can mix and match the 2, Burrows and Daniels, and play, let me give you the exact lineup you want to do. In week 16, play Burrow against Miami. That's a great matchup. And then in weeks 15 and 17 against the Giants with Jaden Daniels, and against Dallas in the championship week. And I know you've got this week to see how Daniels looks. If he looks bad, you just go with Prescott. But I know it's kind of a complicated answer, but you can win a championship that way. Golfman, Florida. Good morning, my dudes. PPR starting Chase and Ibuka, but only have Troy Franklin left. Would you pick up Vele or Mechie instead of Franklin? Thanks and best of luck, Jeff. You picking up Vele or Mechie instead of Franklin?
I don't know that I would drop Franklin at this point, because it could very quickly bounce back. He is leading the team in targets, or he's right there leading the team in targets on the season. If I'm choosing for this week, I do have it ranked Vele, Mechie, and Franklin.
All right, Cherry Smith. I have Olave, McConkey, and Franklin as wide receivers in PPR. Should the flex be Vele, Corum, or Mooney? I just think it's Vele. Would you guys agree?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mace Dog. Hey, Mace Dog. Is Jeff going to complain about... okay. No, that's not nice. We weren't going to bring it up. We're making fun of Joey today in his Florida State shirt. We're not making fun of Jeff. They're not out of the playoffs, though, and that's what's important. They can still win it all. Good morning. Is Oronde Gadsden droppable given his recent lack of usage, except as a blocker? Difficult matchups for the rest of the season. If dropping Gadsden, would you like Darren Waller or Theo Johnson? Adam, are you dropping Gadsden?
I don't think I am, but if I had the luxury of just adding a little depth to my tight end room, I would grab Darren Waller.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to give this one to you, Jeff. Might be my favorite question of the day. Talking about globs. Monungai, Neal, Woody Marks, and Bam Knight. Pick 2 in PPR.
I would say Marks and Neal. And I don't know if we're completely fine with the injury with Monungai or not, but that's a difficult match against the Packers. I think Neal and Marks are at minimum slated for heavy volume.
Beautiful. Love it, buddy. Howard, another question for us. Fannin or Juwan Johnson? Adam, pick one.
Juwan Johnson's been pretty solid. Fannin does have a nice matchup, but I just the floor's really fallen out with Fannin in past weeks, where I think Johnson just gives you a safer floor. So I'm going to play Juwan Johnson.
Have you guys ever been in a house where the floor's fallen out?
Yes, it's not good.
It's not? Okay. I always wondered. ETN or Swift? Jeff, pick one. PPR.
Easy or Swift? Give me Swift here in PPR.
All right. Jack Pascal. Great to see you as always. Half PPR, pick 2 between Flowers, McLaurin, or Godwin. Adam, pick 2.
Pick him in McLaurin. We've talked him up
Quite
quite a bit. Give me Zay Flowers.
Love it. If he's going to get on, I believe Jeff likes to say get right. This is a get right game for him tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight. Charbonnet or Bam Knight. Jeff, do you feel better about one of the two of those guys?
I feel better about Charbonnet because I think the Seahawks should be able to run the ball down the Falcons' throat, and you're betting on getting into the end zone between the two of them, and I feel better about Charbonnet getting into the end zone over Bam Knight against a difficult Rams defense.
Love it. Half PPR, choose 2 wide receivers between Christian Watson, Terry Olave, and DJ Moore. Thanks, mans. Austin wants to know, Adam. Let him know.
Terry McLaurin. Man, we've had some hard wide receiver questions. Half PPR. Give me Olave.
All right. Irish wants to know which running back he should sit between Breece Hall, Judkins, and Henry. Am I crazy to say I want to bench Breece out of those 3? Jeff?
I don't know that I wouldn't do it. I would bench Judkins. I don't know that you're
Okay.
crazy to say it, though. They're both kind
Thank
of
you.
really right there.
I appreciate
Definitely
not being
playing Henry,
crazy.
though.
Okay. Yeah, Henry's he's at 80 yards and 5 straight games against the Steelers or something like that. I saw. It's like, whew. He's a good player. That's a hot take. Derrick Henry's a good player. What about Harvey over Judkins? Do you like that, Jeff, or would you rather play Judkins in that spot?
I want to go to my rankings here. I've got RJ Harvey ranked right ahead of Judkins. So 14 for Harvey, 16 for Judkins.
Beautiful. Rest of the season, Adam, Franklin or Cortland Sutton?
For this, I would reference our rest of season rankings at footballguys.com. I think Bob Henry does those, and he has got Sutton considerably higher than, not considerably higher, but he's got Cortland Sutton higher than Troy Franklin.
All right. Watson, Debo, or Pierce, Jeff?
Watson, Debo, or Pierce. Give me. I have Debo here.
Okay. All right, and we answered that.
I've got them right in a row too. It seems like to be the theme of the day. They're just ranked right in a row for me. But I've got.
Well,
Debo,
I think
Pierce.
that's good when we're getting those that are just kind of back to back, because when we miss, then we can say, "Oh, I had a back to back." It's just like razor thin. That's the excuse we have. No, I'm just kidding. Loveland or Kincaid? Adam, which tight end are you in love with this week? Out of these two?
I don't want to confuse people because Jeff really scared me on him, but I think I'm going to play Dalton Kincaid over Loveland.
Okay. Burden or Hampton? That's tricky. Jeff, Burden or Hampton?
I'll play Burden in that spot if it's any PPR at all. If it's not, I might lean towards Hampton. But yeah.
Okay. All right. And should you drop Trey Benson for Bam Knight? Yes. Well, if
I would at this point.
If we hear Trey Benson's not playing today, he's shut down for the season, so it's an easy drop for Bam Knight. But I don't know if
he needs to be active on Tuesday, but it doesn't seem like they're out of it, and so I don't know. I defer to the injury expert here, and this is something that I was curious about because I'm in the same spot. I have Benson in a lot of redraft leagues, and if he's out on Tuesday, then he's out, and it seems to be the head of that direction.
Yeah, I would have thought he would have been back by now. So the fact that he's not is telling me either he had a setback or something else is in play here, that they're keeping him out. So I think at this point you can make that move.
Okay. All right. And Zare, what's up, buddy? Stop me if you've heard this one before. Burden or Adonai? We haven't heard it yet today. Jeff?
I have Burden. No, I have Adonai ranked ahead of Burden.
All right. Real quick, if Garrett Wilson comes back to the Jets this season, are we thinking that's going to hurt Mitchie or Adonai more?
both. It makes both irrelevant to me because I don't think the
Okay.
volume's there in the passing attack.
All right. Have a league with Tedero and McMillan already. Do I drop Pollard, Spears, or Corum to go grab Chuba off the waiver wire? Adam, would you rather have Chuba over Pollard, Spears, or Corum?
I would personally rather have him over Spears. He was heavily involved last week in Carolina, and that seems to be becoming a backfield where you could have two running backs that are fantasy viable. But if you really like Tajay Spears more than Tony Pollard, I'm okay flip-flopping that. I would hold on Corum just because he's a Blake or Kyron Williams injury from being like a top 10 running back. So I think he's a great handcuff to hold, but I would get Chuba Hubbard on my team.
All right. We got 5 minutes left, so I want to try to get through as many of these as we can, guys, and I think we can get through them all. So, all right. Howdy, folks. 2 flex PPR between Watson, Brian Thomas Jr., Michael Wilson, Woody Marks. Hoping that's T. Higgins or Chris Godwin. We'll say it's T. Higgins instead of Jaden Higgins. Jeff, pick 2.
If it's T. Higgins, you're going to go T. Higgins, and I'm playing Michael Wilson based upon what we've seen so far. If it is not T. Higgins, if it's Jaden Higgins, then I will play PPR. Give me Godwin in full PPR there with Wilson.
God, I'm going to have to drop Watson in my rankings. I've got him with that Jaden Reed news coming back. I just thought this was going to be the week. You guys have talked me off of him by just not saying his name at all. Aaron Jones, Woody Marks, Luther Burden, Kareem Hunt, or Charbonnet. Adam, pick 1.
I think I'm going to go with Luther Burden.
Okay. All right. And then Kyle Pitts or Mika Ibuka. I'm going Ibuka. And Mark, great show, guys. Thank you for being here. Okay, Lamar or Brissett, Jeff? That's not as crazy
Lamar
as it sounds.
or Brissett. I'm pretty low on Lamar.
Yeah. And then I would go Ibuka over Jacoby Myers. Am I alone there?
I think I would go Myers.
Would you? Okay. Somebody's messing with Jeff. And they're a Memphis Grizzlies fan, just to dox them. So I can see it on the court. Should I bench Lamar and pick up Jaden Daniels? Yeah. Somebody dropped Jaden Daniels in my league this week, and I'm right into the playoffs with Goff and Daniels, and that's a fun little combo. If I make it to the playoffs, 9 teams compete for 5 spots today in my home league. Tensions are high in the right household. We're closing the door to the office. Daddy's not coming out all day. Howard Fisher, does the NFL hate fantasy by putting a bye week in week 14? No, the NFL loves fantasy, and we love the NFL. Jefferson or Harvey? Adam, pick 1.
Jefferson.
All right. D. Smitty saying, thanks. The Godwin and Watson notes were a big help in multiple leagues for me. You guys rock. We do rock, I think. I know you two rock. You guys are awesome. Love being here with you every Sunday. And I wanted to get through all the questions, and I did that, which I get to put this one up. This is too funny, Joey. See, I skipped over somebody giving me a compliment to focus on our community and our chat. And I just wanted to point that out live on the show. Adam, before we head out, any words for the people?
Nope. Good luck to everybody. Obviously, it's a big week with fantasy football playoffs, but next week, that waiver wire might get a little more flush with some teams potentially getting knocked out of the playoffs. Honestly, if you play in a league where non-playoff teams can add players off the waiver wire, not to get it on my soapbox too much here at the end, but we need a rule adjustment on that. Non-playoff teams should not be playing in the waiver wire. If you're not out of the playoffs, stay off the waiver wire. So make sure you check out the injury column. I'll talk about players that were potentially injured this week. It will drop Monday around noon exclusively at Football Guys.
Yeah, and speaking of, if you're in the playoffs, get off the waiver wire. If you're in the Football Guys Bowl and you do not make the playoffs, please do not touch the waiver wire. I will use my platform to put that message out right now. Please, it saves me so much work if you don't do it. Jeff, we missed you so much last week. I remember we did an outro for the show, but like you're the heart and just the backbone of the outro of this show. Give us some words and then hit us with it. We love you so much.
Can I ask you guys a real quick question? In a dynasty league, does tanking need to be explicitly approved or explicitly not approved? For that, if it's not addressed at all, what is your feeling on that?
This is really good, Jeff. I've had that moral dilemma all week of like, do I want to just play spoiler and be the guy, or am I just going to sit my
for
people?
my specific situation, I'm
Yeah.
going head to head with, if I lose, I get the number 2 pick, and this person that I'm playing head to head would get the number 2 pick if I beat them. So it's like we're not affecting the playoffs at all, but it does matter on the 2nd pick or the 3rd pick in the draft.
I think in your specific situation, because you're not affecting the playoff teams at all. Man, I wish there was a show that people talked about commissioner type tips like this. That'd be really good if there was one out there like that. I think the tanking's fine in that case. If you're not hurting the
If there were
playoff
to be a
teams,
show out there, Joey, what would it be called? Like,
it would be called the Football Guys Home League Show. And I think Kevin Murray would be a really good host for it. And maybe you could throw me in the mix. I don't know. They've probably got a lot of really great commissioner tips every Monday at 4:00. Jeff, I love you so much, buddy. Hit us with it and let us know some things. I don't know.
Do what you want to do in that situation. And I'm telling that to myself. I'm going to tank. I'm sorry.
Good.
So
I love it.
Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. Go out and lose if you need to lose. Win if you need to win.
Love it. Have a great week, everybody.